Hey, welcome. It's David Henry again. Today we're going to talk about the MDT ACC Elite, my choice for competition chassis. But it's not just a competition chassis, and I'm going to tell you other things you can do with it that might want you to put it in your collection of chassis or rifles. The MDT ACC Elite chassis is the second version of the ACC. The first version, now they call it a Premier, was the very first ACC. It was the first chassis I purchased on a custom rifle. I had the Falcor action, I had a Bartlett barrel chambered in 6GT, and it was in a Premier MDT ACC chassis. The things that really drew me to that chassis to start off my precision rifle journey was the long forend, the adjustability in the back end, being able to put weights inside and outside to make sure we could balance it properly. Those are the things that really sold me on the original ACC. The ACC Elite, it flipped the script. It's completely upgraded over the original. There's a lot of advantages with this ACC Elite, and we can talk a little bit about them. I know there's tons of videos out there. When it released, everybody was talking about it, talking about all the features, the benefits, everything about this chassis. But I want to tell you a little more what my thoughts were, my mindset, and what makes this such a special chassis. There's a few things that go into play. You know, we have toolless adjustability for length of pull and comb height. You know, I run my comb pretty low. Sometimes you might even see people pull these off and run it without the cheek piece. Gives you a lot of availability. You know, if we look at the adjustments, you know, we loosen this up by thumb and then we just pull it up and down. Pretty awesome. And then underneath that, they did something revolutionary where they put the tools to work on the chassis underneath that cheek piece. We also had adjustable length of pull. So we got a thumb screw there to make it quickly and easily adjustable. We can adjust that in or out wherever we need for our length of pull. I've been running mine pretty short lately. Helps me get square behind the rifle. We'll talk about fit, rifle fit and stuff at another time if you guys are interested in the way I set up my rifles to be the most precise possible. But you know, there's a lot of things they did to this chassis to really step it up in the game. One thing, they made it a lot more rigid. So the forend, they made the aluminum a lot thicker, made it a lot more rigid. That rigidity helped out with the twanginess you might have felt with the old ACC if you didn't have internal weights in it. They kept the internal weights that you can put inside and the externals, but what they did, because it's thicker through here, they allow you to put mirage shields or pick rail accessories or accessory bridges up on top of the chassis. That's going to help you unlock more capabilities of this chassis. You know, I have some internal weights and then 4 external weights to help balance this chassis. I don't have any weights in the back. I just have their jelly dampeners just to help out with that impulse. Did I feel much difference? Probably not, but I love the aesthetics, the way it looks, so that's what I went with. Another big advantage on this one versus the Premier, or what I like about the Elite, is that big thumb rest. It's on an M-lock slot, and you can move it forward, back, tilt it at all kinds of angles, but when I get behind the rifle, I'm gonna get my thumb right up there, and I can push forward to load the bag and put a little pressure on that magazine well. Love that thumb rest. And then if you look down here, there's traction put on the bottom of the chassis. That traction there is great to index your trigger finger. So when you're manipulating the rifle around, you have somewhere to hold and have your trigger finger indexed, so you make sure you don't get into that trigger well where you might have a ND. We need to make sure we're safe, and that friction there just helps out with the whole scenario. You see I added Baker wings on mine too. I like the fact that it locks up so solid on the bag with that nice wide footprint with the Baker wings. Besides that, you know, they put a cut underneath the trigger guard so we can adjust our triggers. This one here, I'm running a Timney Hit. They also changed out the mag release, and it's adjustable for height for the mag well, so we can make sure those mags are seated properly. It's really important when we're getting into 22s or like our BRs, Dashers, GTs, just to make sure those mags are seated in there square. It's wide enough to run AW or AICS mags, which is a huge benefit. The other thing they did inside of there is they made it so you could put some nylon spacers inside, or little tubes that help take up some of the play in that magazine or the rattle, which is super nice. These are just some of the features that really set the ACC Elite chassis apart, but I challenge you guys to see some other tasks that we do with this chassis. I don't know about you, but I did a little ELR. It was a dangerous game ELR match, so it wasn't crazy, but we shot out to 1,840 yards. The ACC Elite chassis with a long action, I think this is going to be a great chassis for you. Because we can adjust that weight and get it where we need to, because the 2 points of interest where your rear bag and your front bipod would be are so far apart, it gives you really stable with those big guns with that heavy recoil to help manage it. Another thing, if we went a little shorter on the barrel, we did a night vision bridge on top, we could probably do a clip-on thermal. There's a few guys out there that have used this as their coyote or nighttime thermal hunting rig. You could also throw a clip-on night vision scope if you wanted to. This thing is probably the most adaptable chassis out there. You can do everything with it. If you strip all the weights out of it, it's a fairly light one. Throw a carbon barrel in there and a night vision rail. I think it'd be a great backpack gun, thermal hunting, coyote hunting, whatever. And I don't know about you, but I'd love to put a carbon GT, 6 GT on here or a 22 GT and go out and whack some coyotes. But besides that, you know, we think about 22 trainers, or if we think about NRL 22 or PRS 22, if you get a 20-inch barrel 22, it sits in here, the barrel barely clears a handguard because this handguard's so long. But because we can put the weight so far out, we can still balance some of those light rifles to make sure they sit good on a barricade, much like your centerfire counterparts. We'll spin this around, and you'll see I do have all the gadgets on here. I do run the pick rail on the top of my spur mount. We'll flip it around and show you some other stuff. Yeah, I do have all the toys on there. I got a send it level and the crush it timer. I ran them right on the rail, on the action for the send it level, and then the crush it timers right off the edge of the spur mount. I put a little pick rail there and it goes straight down. I can see both of them from behind the rifle, which is nice. This is my take on the ACC Elite. I think the next one I'm going to do is a predator hunting rig or something I can put a thermal up front. Tell me what you would do with an MDT ACC Elite chassis. I know this one's not a beauty queen. It's been used for years, you know, and it's my go-to chassis. You'll see the powder coating or the Cerakoting is wearing through in spots. You see the foam is coming up on the cheek pad. It's still my go-to. Man, this thing just rock and rolls. It's solid. Through recoil, it's nice and consistent. I love that thumb rest so I can get behind the rifle, you know, and push in on that thumb rest. I usually use my pick rail on top, but if not, I can clamp down on the side, or if I had a control bridge over top. Man, if you haven't checked out the MDT ACC Elite, I would do it. Challenge you to go to the range, find one of these, somebody's shooting, get behind it. I can tell you it's unlike any other chassis I've ran in the past. You know, I've tried MPAs, I've tried KDEX Defense, XLR, all of them build great chassis. This MDT I think is just a step above if you're out there looking for a do-it-all chassis that would be comfortable shooting prairie dogs with a fast 22 cal, ELR matches, maybe hunting predators. This chassis would be at home anywhere. If we think about the bore axis, how low it is into the chassis, the recoil comes straight back. It's easy to track. It's really dead when you get it on a sandbag and shooting it. I don't know that there's a better chassis on the market right now. I'm kind of excited. Maybe MDT's working on another ACC, and if they do, you better bet I'm going to give it a try. I've had such good luck with the ACC and the ACC Elite. I don't think there's any other choice in my mind what I'm going to use to compete with, to shoot with. If I want to build confidence in somebody and their shooting ability, I'll put them on this rifle with this chassis. I can adjust the length of pull so they're comfortable, the cheek piece so they can get a good eye relief and line up with the scope correctly. Find me at a range. I'm in Missouri. Sometimes I run over to Arizona, Idaho, Utah, shoot matches. If you see me and you want to shoot my rifle, just ask. You know I'll let you do it. We'll talk to you later. Make sure you subscribe for more information on precision rifle, AR-15s, tactical stuff, suppressors. Let me know what you want to know or what I can help you out with, and we'll do that. Catch you next time.